So welcome everybody. As we've mentioned, I am the author of Love It or Leave It, How to Be Happy at Work. And today I have a deep question for you. I want to ask you, what is your expiration date? Sounds quite a provocative question, but we're about making a decision on what we're going to love or leave. And too many of my clients are working in ways where they're not questioning, why am I working in the way that I am? Why do I think this is the only way that I can be challenged to work? And one client recently said to me, I think this way of working for me expired 3 years ago, but I've been balancing this journey between keeping my head down, staying focused, but actually I feel like I'm drowning. And I don't really feel like I've actually taken the time to figure out what's next. So it's easier for me just to sit here and wilt. This cannot happen anymore. And so I invite you to question and peel away some deep layers. We've all seen these different Russian doll images. And when we get to the heart, that little dot at the end is about asking yourself, who do I want to become? Is this work or the way that I'm living my life moving me towards that vision or away from it? And how do I create the opportunities for me to flourish? Where have I been lying to myself about the work that I'm doing and lying to other people about how happy I am in the job that is sucking the soul out of me? And we can sit in this place of reflection and mental reflection. And I think there's a lot of talk around getting a better mindset about work. But actually, what we need to do is not just mental excavation work, but the physical and emotional understanding of what happens when you live out of alignment with yourself in your body, in the way that you feel about stress, in burnout, and taking that time to be still. And when we think about the work by Linda Stone, she says we're suffering from deep, continuous, partial attention, where we're distracted in so many different ways that we're not really doing anything with full momentum. Our attention is so fractured, and we use this in the way that we think about our lives too. We are not concentrating on what needs to happen, and we're not sitting still with our bodies. You know, Socrates says that the unexamined life isn't one worth living. So take a moment and think, where has stress been showing up in my body? Where do I feel a sense of resistance when I go in to give a presentation or outline something to a client? And how does this marry up with mentally about how I've been thinking about my work? And I invite you to then question, okay, so if I'm ready to go on a journey, if I'm ready to peel off the layers, take one doll out at a time and get to the heart, I need to know what I'm starting from. And I also need to know how to prepare my backpack for this journey. And so often when people come to my Purpose Umbrella intensives, they're either at a crossroads, thinking, okay, what can I love? What can I leave? Am I ready to make a change? They are either in a position where they have faced a setback. So maybe they've been made redundant, they're furloughed, or perhaps they have seen a shrink in like promotions, there are hiring freezes, and they're also seeing that perhaps the money they wanted to earn is not going to happen this year. So they're ready to turn up the boiling point on some of their goals and desires. And actually, some people are in a place where, do you know what? I like my job. I like the way that this year has forced me to rethink how I'm working. But fundamentally, I want to develop better relationships. Or actually, I've realized that I haven't got any routines. I'm just not ending and starting my day that is enabling me to create the masterpiece of who I am. And so I invite people to think about their skills, their strengths, their passions, and their values. And I think values are core. Your values act as your happiness compass on how you live and be on a day-to-day basis. And I think on top of that, when we layer that up with strengths, question yourself, do I know what my strengths are? Most of my clients can easily reel off their weaknesses. And I say to them, okay, that's great. You've told me all the stuff that you're not very good at. What about the stuff that you are good at? And automatically people go to areas of competence. I have a natural ability to be a great listener. I am an amazing speaker. Or they'll say, do you know what? I love planning. And far too often we end up unhappy in the work that we do because we are doing work that people have told us is a real strength, when actually there isn't the direct alignment with an area that energizes you too. Does that strength give you joy, excitement, pleasure? Take a moment and really think today, am I using my strengths, my valuable assets, in a way that wants me to do more of them? I guarantee you where you're finding that discomfort in your work is because there is a misalignment with competence and energy. And so going through this, knowing we don't automatically just know what our strengths are, we have to go through what I call experimenting. And at Love It or Leave It, we have like a success path. We are all about, one, taking you where I started at the beginning, asking you, where do you feel your current way of working has expired for you? What might purpose look like for you? And then we go through that journey of thinking about what exists currently in your toolkit. But the amazing stages where people come to life is when you step into architect mode, knowing that you have the power and the agency to create better foundations. You no longer need to just be building your life on quicksand. And the only way that you can start to realize what you're going to love or what you're going to leave behind is through trialing and testing. We get clarity through taking action. You don't make great tea with just tepid water. You've got to start putting some fire into what it is that you want. And through these areas, I invite people to think about making creativity an everyday action. Purpose isn't just going to wake up and slap you in the face. It is about you igniting yourself to go on a journey of finding and creating it through testing little things. Okay, I've said I'm interested in doing photography. How many photos am I taking? What can I do to strengthen a skill? If I'm interested in working with larger teams, how do I get more of that experience? Start to create the experiments to ignite a bit more passion in you to make a decision. And then we choose a path. We choose a path. Do you know what? I'm going to go all in on loving my job, or I'm going to go all in on thinking about what the next step is. And what might love it look like? Love it could be, do you know what? I love the job that I do and the role that I have, and that I can be my authentic self. But actually, it's the relationships that are wearing me down. And I'm going to start today hacking my relationships, seeing where I'm triggered, why I'm triggered. How do I go on a journey with somebody else and learn about them and their rich skills, passions, personalities, and also learning about myself in that too. How do I craft my job to really play to my true strengths? Maybe my role of being a supporter and a connector and a great people person is actually draining me, when really I want to be methodical and I want to just get on with what I'm doing, and I can't seem to find that balance. Or perhaps you've realized that I've made so much of work, it's doing fine. I need to figure out who I am outside of work instead. And what might leaving it look like? Leaving it is, okay, great. If I'm in a situation where my role feels incredibly toxic, it's time for me to take a move. If I'm in a role where actually I've been working on an opportunity on the side and that opportunity is going to blow, then you make a decision to leave and you move in that direction. If you're moving on from redundancy, it is about settling your emotional awareness around that. I've been made redundant from the position, but I'm still valuable. And this is what I have to give for the next thing. And we move on and we make a decision. If you're going to leave a role, I always say that you need to start thinking about relationships and connections differently, especially if you've been in a place like my client who said he'd been expired for 3 years. He hadn't even looked at his CV in that time. So we need to also realize that leaving it will come with new behaviors, new experiments that we'll need to trial. Job test, job description test, check out the actual job itself and think, is this right for me? How do we headhunt our new position? Actually giving ourselves that power to pitch and promote ourselves. If we're looking at a company and thinking, you do this very well, but you're missing this, or this could give you a strategic edge, pitch yourself in. So to take your decision further, once you've made that yes, I want you to get solid with it. I want you to know, actually, if I'm moving all the way into a leave it, I am leaving behind this, or I am leaving behind the negativity around this, or I am leaving behind my mindset around people. I want you to start making very simple plans. Step 1 is this, step 2 is this, and step 3 is this, so that you can plot out your journey. Less is more, and also finishing will skyrocket your confidence. A lot of the time, our confidence is deflated because we have too many open loops. We're not rinsing and repeating. And when we're making a decision, we're second guessing ourselves and we're going backwards and forwards. We also need to think about naive optimism. I think it's all very well, I'm a happiness consultant. We want to get engaged and want to think about the vision of the future, but we also need to sit and embrace our current reality. And if this year has taught us anything, is that our reality shifts all the time. And we also need to be prepared for potential obstacles, some we aren't even aware of and some that we know of. And a way that you can do this really successfully and to keep you confident on this path, because confidence literally is about trusting in yourself. And when we don't feel happy, it's because we are losing that trust in ourselves to figure out what it is that brings us success. So be aware of your stop signs. Where do you overthink? Where do you fall into a place of doubt? Where do you regurgitate negative thoughts? Oftentimes when we think about our bodies and the way that we've been built, we are operating in a way to keep safe. We have a negativity bias, and these stop signs can stop you from moving forward. So you might make a decision and then suddenly your mindset says, I don't think that's right. What are your alarm bells? My clients, I always say to them, if you are going to move forwards and execute on a plan, you need to be aware of what your alarms are. Where are you not sleeping, eating, and moving enough to give you that energy? I know after a poor night's sleep, I make terrible decisions. So be mindful of that. And also, what happens when you hit panic? What is your responsibility? It is up to you to understand, how do I navigate when I am in a place of adversity, choosing the right belief to then give me the right actions. If we don't, that cycle then plays around and around, and we don't move forwards with confidence. And lastly, I'd like you to think about playing the game versus the shame game. It's easy to think that when you make a decision and you fall in love with something, suddenly it doesn't work, then you're going to shame yourself and thinking, God, I made the wrong decision. Actually, there's just an element that didn't work, but you're playing a game, you're playing a bigger game. And as you've ever played Mario or whatever game you're playing these days, there's an excitement about getting from one level to another level to another level. Show yourself some compassion if things don't work out in the way that you planned, but know that you are moving forwards and there will be some obstacles, and maybe it's an obstacle that you need to plan for better next time. And really think about playing the wider game versus just shaming yourself. So my takeaways are: stop standing in your own way. Really peel back the layers to get to the heart of your purpose umbrella and what you will choose to lean into and love or leave behind. Experiment, experiment, experiment. Learn about where you excel, what you want to learn, and what else you need. Make a decision. Decide, simplify, finish, and repeat. And be aware of your stop signs, your alarms, and your panic buttons. This will set you up for success. And I guess my last slide is: the very cave you're afraid to enter turns out to be the source of what you're looking for. When you think about your purpose, go all in and be able to step into your future self with confidence.
Thank you so much for that, Samantha. I found that fascinating. Just before I ask for your sort of 15-second summary, and you've already done a great job of summing up those points there, I guess, has just one positive thing that's come out of this current situation? Have you seen more people take a step back and start reflecting on their life and work as a result?
Yes, I think a lot of people are using this time to pause and not get distracted. It's easy for us to be in this state, but actually the world has just disrupted in such a different way that it's hard for us not to think, I've got to do things differently. I've got to
Yeah.
reflect and be in a place where the same old decision making isn't going to take me further. And what got me here won't get me there.
No, I completely agree. Okay, then, Samantha, we're nearly out of time. I have to ask you if you could sum up what you've said today, your message, in just 15 seconds for the audience. Go for it.
Peel back the layers. Find out what it is that you truly are inspired in wanting to do. Excavate your skills, strengths, passions, and values. Take action. Keep that action simplified, finish and repeat. And lastly, trust in yourself. Play a winning game and don't shame yourself. Your future you will thank you for it.